Good morning, students and educators, and welcome to today's virtual talk and tour career series. Today, our special guest, the company and industry that we will focus on today and highlight is Amphenol Borisch Technologies. And they are our special guests, so we want to welcome them. Thank you so much for spending your Thursday morning with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. And so I just want to kind of remind our students, excuse me, and our educators what our mission is. We want to help every student prepare for college and careers by working with our community partners like you to develop and provide programs and resources for our students, our parents, educators, as well as our business partner. And we just want to make sure that every student leaves their K through 12th experience with a plan. And so today I will be your facilitator. My name is Donnella Michelle Large, and I am just so thrilled that you can spend this time with us. This conversation, I guarantee you, will be rich. We will learn a lot from our employers about the company and several positions. So I'm really, really excited. And so now I will introduce Katie Butler, and she will introduce her team and kind of talk about their company, Amphenol Borisch Technologies. Thank you, Katie, for being a part of this virtual career chat.
We're happy to be here. I'm Katie Butler. I'm an HR business partner at Amphenol Borisch Technologies. We also have Jillian Black here, who is also an HR business partner. I don't know if Lindsay Vandenbos will be joining us, but she's our HR director. We have Brian MacArthur, who's our production manager here. And then we have Stacy Jaber, who is one of our manufacturing engineers. So a little bit of information about ABT. We are a contract manufacturing company in the defense and aerospace industry. So we have a lot of different opportunities from electronics assembly to test technicians, engineering positions, and kind of anything in between. So it's a lot of different education levels. Some require just a high school diploma up to potentially a college degree. So there are a lot of different opportunities at ABT.
Cool, that's amazing. And so what I'll do is I'll ask everyone a series of questions, and then Katie, feel free when you want to kind of jump in your marketing video, just let me know. But we just have several individuals here, students who work in various positions within the company. And so we're just going to I'll ask the question, whoever wants to jump in, just jump in. But when did you decide to pursue a career in this particular field? So a lot of our students, again, they're 16, 17 years old. They're, again, just trying to explore. So when did you know that this was, the path that you wanted to take? And I will start with Brian.
So I actually have a little bit of an unusual background. I am a degreed engineer. And I had always wanted to be an engineer. My parents were engineers. I really got motivated by my math teacher in high school. If you didn't know math, you didn't make it as far, or you couldn't do as much. So I kind of entrenched myself in anything around that. And I was an intern here as an engineer right out of school. And I loved it. I loved making something out of nothing. I loved taking drawings and reading them and interpreting them and helping people out build product. That was exciting. I then took the role of production manager, which is a little bit different, definitely supported by the engineers. So get to have that cross-functional team, and I have my own teams that I work with and lead those. So it was kind of I didn't know I wanted to be in this field, but once I got a taste, I really loved it. And I still do. I've got a great team here, and we work a lot with Stacy and her team. So it was something I didn't know I wanted to do until I got just into the manufacturing field and realized that I could really do anything as long as I was passionate about it and really just try to do my best every day.
Oh my gosh, that is so fantastic. I love the fact that you were willing to explore, right? You didn't know what you don't know what you don't know. And the fact that you took advantage of an internship, so students, please take advantage of internships. What about you, Stacy?
So my interest really peaked probably in high school, math and science. Love math and science. So that was a suggestion actually by a counselor in high school. Said, why don't you try engineering? So once I got started in school, oh, this is great. Like math and science is great. And I did a co-op when I was in college, just to get a taste of what is the real world like for engineering, and just piqued more interest. Now I'm more of a manufacturing engineering role is really hands-on. So that has really been a great challenge, and very exciting field.
Great. And what about Jillian, Katie? Just jump in. Whoever wants to take it next.
I also have kind of a different background here, which I think helps make our company.
So we can't hear you. Yeah. And I'm excited. So I can't wait to hear what you're saying. It sounds juicy.
I'm not muted, nothing still?
It's just very low.
Okay, one sec. Is this any better?
Much.
Okay. Okay, so I was saying I also have kind of a different background, which I think makes our company pretty cool because there's lots of people from very diverse backgrounds. But I was an elementary school teacher for about 10 years. And in 2017, I decided that I wanted to try something different. So I left the teaching industry and I really had no idea what I wanted to do, but kind of compared the skills that I acquired from teaching and came here to Amphenol Borisch Technologies in an administrative assistant role and kind of got to know the different departments and what the company was all about and the industry and this incredible team, and got to know the HR side of things and realized that there are some parallels between teaching and working in human resources, just dealing with people, helping others. So I'm still learning a ton, and we've got this incredible team, and like Stacy and Brian, they are absolute experts here. So we're really lucky that we get to work with them, and they can kind of help us understand our industry a bit better. And like Katie and myself, we work within all the departments, and I think it's really neat to kind of be that helper and be someone who's supporting our team members and also supporting the company at the same time.
Fantastic. I just loved how you started off in education and kind of morphed into something different, something that you find more satisfaction in. So I really appreciate that. What about you, Katie?
So I too do not have a traditional background in HR, which I work in now. I actually got my degree in a science discipline. So my major was clinical exercise science, which is kind of a precursor to going to grad school for physical therapy. Once I got done with school, I decided I was quite honestly just kind of burned out at that point and didn't want to do a 3-year doctorate program. So I kind of had to start over from scratch. So throughout my positions that I worked in college, I had done some hiring in kind of a management type of position. So my first position out of college, I kind of jumped right into HR and just kind of learned from there. So it's been all on the job learning for me mostly. And I used to work in a different manufacturing type setting in the floral industry. And I actually learned about the opportunity at ABT and kind of transitioned over to a different type of manufacturing. And I've also been learning a ton about the industry and still learning every day.
Fantastic. Oh my gosh, students, I hope that you are eating this up. This is just so rich. And just to know that you may be interested in one particular field, but that doesn't have to define you, that you can continue to explore. That's just fantastic. So I know that a couple of you mentioned, you were really into math and science. So what I want to tell our students, what skills and education is required for your particular position? And we can start with, I'm all over this Brady Bunch screen. Let's start with you, Stacy.
Can you ask the question again?
Absolutely. What skills and education is required for your particular position?
So my background is mechanical engineering. I have a Bachelor of Science degree, which is very heavy in different math and science disciplines. Math was about 5 semesters, not only just from math, calculus, those disciplines, but also from an engineering side. So you're taking some math in engineering, related to engineering. And those things carry over into everyday things that we work on, not doing major calculations, but having that base of how things work mechanically. So in mechanical engineering, you're looking at different aspects of science, heat transfer, materials, fluids, those types of things. So understanding those bases in math and science translate into your career when you're hands-on with things, understanding how things work mathematically, scientifically, and how to put those things together to make them work in a manufacturing environment.
Love it. What about you, Katie? What skills and education is required for your position?
So for my position particularly, I would say bachelor's degree, but not necessarily in HR, as Jillian and I can both attest to, since that is not something we got our degrees in. But there are different certifications you can get in HR as well, which I actually did last year in 2020 through the Society of Human Resources Management. I got a HR certification through that. So really any type of degree can be helpful and applicable, and not just for our HR positions, but we do have a lot of other positions at ABT. So we do have some like electronics assemblers that you only need a high school diploma for. So if you're very interested in hands-on work, doing assembly type positions, it's something you could start right out of high school potentially too.
And I was just going to pop in and kind of add on to that. We have so many team members here that started out, right as an electronics assembler, right out of high school, got to learn so much on the job throughout different departments, and then just really worked their way up. So, a degree is incredible to have and super helpful, but not always necessary for many of the positions here. We've had team members like Brian and our GM who started as interns and then just really got to know the industry and, the ins and outs of each department, and did so much on the job training and were able to really work their way up.
Yeah, to elaborate a little bit more, you bring up a great point of you don't have to have a degree necessarily. There's a lot of people that have just 2-year certifications or 16-month certifications that started as interns or started as, hourly employees and have worked their way up. We have executives that have no college degree. They just, put in the time, put in the effort, and work their way through the ranks here. But to the point, I was an engineer. I wanted to be an engineer. I now work on the other side of it. We have people all over the place like that. So it's very common in the industry. It's probably more common here than any of the other 3 places I've worked. But yeah, it's just applying yourself, just building some of those, as we call soft skills, some of those just working with just people, just having that interaction, being able to confront problems and learning from those mistakes and moving on from them. Don't dwell on those things. Those are things that college doesn't teach you. But it's something that we all desperately need just to progress and learn from our mistakes every day.
And I'm so glad that you touched on mistakes. That's actually one of my questions. I know that a lot of students, are afraid to fail. They are afraid to make those mistakes. What mistakes did you make along the way, and how did you learn from that? And whoever wants to jump in, just jump in.
So one of them that I tell all of my reports, all of our team members, is when they make mistakes, is I always give this one example. As I was still in college, actually, maybe 2 years into college, and I was writing basically work instructions on how to build product. And I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I didn't need to ask questions. I just did what I thought was the right thing. The good part of it is I made my own decisions. I tried to lead something, and I made a very critical mistake within work instructions, which caused us to have to travel to customers and actually fix product in front of them. To give you a little background, we build electronics for the military. So items that I was incorrectly doing because I didn't ask for help was potentially harming people. And I took back, and I teach everyone that. I'm like, look, I didn't lose my job. I worked there, and I worked here, and I learned from that. And I tell a lot of people that, because we can make huge mistakes all the time, but if we don't learn from them, we don't apply those principles, we don't move on and grow and develop from those, we won't really progress in life as far as we need to, as far as we really should.
I think Katie and I, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Jump in, please.
When you asked the question, I think Katie and I kind of smirked because we make mistakes all the time. I mean, we're all human, and there's human error constantly, but kind of like Brian said, we learn from them, and, try not to make the same mistake again, but sometimes we do. And there's so many experts within our field here, and other people that we can connect with that can, kind of walk us through certain things. But most mistakes that we make are fixable. So, it's not the end of the world. And just like as students, you make mistakes all the time, and you learn from them and learn and grow. So, nobody is perfect here. We're always dealing with something. But yeah, everything seems to be pretty fixable. And, as long as we're intentional about making progress and growth, I think mistakes are just part of the job.
Fantastic.
I think maybe to add to that a little bit too, is part of that learning process is how you recover from something like that, and how you will do it differently next time. Sometimes you don't know that you made a mistake until way later down the line, but looking back to say, what could I have changed? What will I change next time?
Great. And I love the fact that, you guys provide so much grace, right? Once an employee makes a mistake, it's like, okay, now we can learn from it. Now we can grow from it, and they're not automatically terminated. So that's really, really great to know. And my next question, so what do you like most about your job, and what do you like the least? Everyone, don't jump in at once.
All right. So what I like most is the opportunities and the team members that we have. We've kind of, like we all said, we all come from different backgrounds. We all have different experience, whether it be professional as a career or within our education levels. It's almost overwhelming to hear how much opportunity a company like this gives us. Like I said, I worked for 2 other manufacturing facilities, and it hasn't been as open at those places. So it's, like if you're struggling in your position, I know of a couple of individuals here that we've struggled with them. And we've actually created new roles for those individuals and said, this is where you'd excel. And they're flourishing in those roles. They're doing really great. And it was like, it's kind of like when we get back to talking about the internships of, we started an intern and you liked it and you had a taste for it and you progressed and you loved it now. So it's just the opportunities that a company like this brings. We're just very well grounded in that. What I don't like is probably a lot harder to talk about. Probably the thing that I don't like is probably the same thing my wife doesn't like, is how much I work sometimes. Because I love my job so much, I'm on my laptop, I'm on my phone a lot. So it's great that I love my job, but I work a lot because I love my job. So I don't like how much I work, but I do love how much I work because I love my job too. So it's hard to say it's a negative, but it can be seen as that.
So does anyone want to go next? And you don't have to, you don't have to identify what you like the least, but tell me, what do you love most about your job?
I'll go next. I really enjoy the people I work with, different backgrounds, different experiences that we can all learn from. And then the product that we work on, there's a lot of variation and a lot of differences between our customers, the product we build for them, and the things that they go into. You're part of something bigger than you would see every day, things that go into the military or aerospace, things that you can be proud of.
I can go next. I think in my HR role, I really love being able to just help people, to be a resource. I always compare it to teaching, and I'm sure people get annoyed with that, but there are so many parallels. Oftentimes we're just a listening ear for somebody. We can help individuals who want to grow in their role, recruiting, whether it's insurance. The human resource side really deals with a lot of, professional, but also oftentimes personal issues. And it's great to be that resource for people. On the other end, when we talk about what, we like the least, I would say sometimes the discipline stuff that comes with the gig is not my favorite personally. It's part of the job, and we have to have some really tough conversations. It's just something that we also learn and grow from, but personally, that's my least favorite part of the position.
I will say one of my favorite things about working at ABT has been the team atmosphere. So coming into a new industry, there's obviously a ton to learn, and it's been my experience that everyone has been very helpful, because at the end of the day, the way that we'll all get our jobs done best is by working together. So anytime I've ever had a question, everyone is very approachable, very understanding, and very willing to help. So that's been a really great tool when I want to learn new things or need to learn new things. I know that I can go to any one of the experts we have at ABT to learn what I need to learn. I would say one of the things I like least can be that sometimes things do change pretty quickly in our industry. So just as an example from an HR standpoint, one day we might have this list of open positions we're trying to recruit for, and literally the next day it might be something different. So, you're putting work in towards things and it might change the next day. So it can get difficult sometimes just kind of adjusting day to day how things can change, but it also keeps things interesting.
Fantastic. And students, I love the fact that it was mentioned that, I think it was Brian that shared it, when they realize that someone is not working within their skill set, that this company is willing to develop a position for that individual, you know, so they can work within their skill set and their strength. That is fantastic. You know, that helps with, retention, that helps with, feeling good about going to work. So that right there is really, really, I'm just blown away, because a lot of companies, don't necessarily do that. So that's really great to hear. I'm so glad you shared that, Brian.
Yeah, we've got every now and then you get a glimpse of it when Stacy talks on the back wall there. We've got a really unique set of core values that we really abide by. It's something that it wasn't passed down to us by anyone. It was our team members creating. I mean, they're, one of them's geekiness. And one's me versus me. Like they're everyone I interview and everyone we bring in for new hires, they're all like, they're unique. I love them. And we're like, it's because we created them. It's not some corporate thing that was given to us.
Wow, fantastic. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so tell our students, what is a typical day like? Like, what are your hours? When do you work? Just kind of go through a normal day. And considering the fact that each person has a different position, our students will get a glimpse into different, those various positions. So please share with us, your typical day.
So I have probably the most standard day, I think, every day. Where it kind of starts off with meeting with my team, kind of all my direct reports, and just figure out where we need help. How do we win today? How do we get through today to make tomorrow a success? Today is success. So just those little nuggets of like, I just need help doing this. Okay, like it's simple. It may take all day, but it's how do we get through today? So it's just those little, a half an hour meeting here, and then we go to another meeting and kind of talk about that on maybe a larger scale or more of a granular level. Those aren't done in silos. Those are done with Stacy. Those are done with HR. So that kind of gets us through the first few hours of every day. So it's a lot of interaction. It's with individuals specifically, both of my same skill set, but also a cross-functional skill set, so different team members. And then it's a lot of running data. So Stacy talked a lot heavily on like the math behind it, and I did too, of understanding how to read some of that. So and it's not like it's overly complex. It's how many hours did we work? It's, how did we do yesterday? How are we gonna do today, and how are we gonna do tomorrow? So that's a lot of that, just over and over again, but it's on different type of assemblies for different customers, different needs and requests. And usually the second half of the day is more project-based, more larger meetings of let's take big ideas that we have and develop a plan of how to execute a new project or a new process improvement that will ultimately make us better long-term. So it's working with a lot of those cross-functional teams. While it isn't always the same every day, it's that same structure every day of working with people in the morning, figuring out what happened yesterday, figure out how we're gonna make today a success. And then the second half is a lot of, okay, the bigger aspect, what's gonna make, Amphenol better for the next 6 months, a year, 10 years.
I can go next. So Brian already made some of the points, kind of starting out the day with meeting with your team and your colleagues and finding out what's going on today. What are the hottest things we have to do? And then another aspect from engineering perspective for manufacturing is finding out what's going on in operations. What do we need help with today? What fires do we need to fight? What kind of improvements do we need to look at? And then also looking at the things that are going to be coming up. What kind of things do we need to prepare for? What kind of products are we going to be working on next that we have maybe to look at? Do we need to create some new tooling? Do we need to develop a work instruction? Do we need to look at different aspects of the drawing, the requirements? to get started on the next project.
I can go next. I think on the HR side of things, we don't have the same day every day, but it just kind of depends. Every Monday, we typically have new hires. So we'll do a new hire orientation, which is going through all of our systems, getting to know the new team members, introducing them to the company, bringing them around, getting them acclimated. Lots of data entry sometimes. So when we have new hires, we have to get all their info into our system. And then, you know, it depends on what things are going on. Like Katie mentioned, we could find out tomorrow, okay, we've got to hire 15 assemblers and we need to hire them right away. So other projects may get put to the side and our priorities change a bit. So we need to focus on recruiting. Or maybe if recruiting is slow, then we can work on some of our individual projects a little bit more. It really depends, and it's different day to day, which makes things interesting and keeps us on our toes.
Since Jillian and I are in the same position, I would say basically her and I kind of the same. So that's basically how my day also goes.
Perfect. And so my next question is, what are some myths about your occupation? And we'll start with you, Stacy.
So kind of to bounce back off from our core values, there's some geekiness in engineering. We all get excited about different things for different reasons, but it's not stereotypical. And it's smaller segments of maybe what some myths of what engineers do. There's some finer details there than creating the next big thing. It's getting to more of the details and understanding how things work.
And what about you, Katie? What are some of those myths about your occupation?
That's a hard question. I would say that people kind of tend to have a lot of preconceived notions about what people in HR do, so that we're kind of only there to do all of the hard stuff and, you know, potentially the people who terminate people and things like that. But there are so many other things that go into our position, and really a lot more of it is on the positive side. And I think people tend to really see the negative side in HR a lot of the time. But we do a lot of positive things. We have a few different groups that we have put together. So a veteran resource group for our veteran team members. Jillian works on a lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we really do try and push a lot of positive things throughout our organization as well.
It's pretty fantastic. Jillian, do you want to kind of chime in there?
Yeah, when I was thinking of misconceptions, the first thing I thought of was the view that sometimes people have of HR, like Katie mentioned, is just that we're just here to fire people and be rule makers. But like Katie mentioned, we love to work on projects that are going to be helpful for the whole team. We want to make sure that we're supporting the company, but we also, it's super important that we're supporting our team members and providing the best work environment for them. So, you know, I think people don't understand that the HR team is constantly working on ways to make things better. And we understand that it can be really difficult. And, you know, we often feel the same frustrations that other team members feel as well. But like Katie said, yeah, we get to work on some really cool projects and events and work within the community that is really positive and makes a good experience for us and for our team members.
Perfect. And what about you, Brian?
It's definitely a difficult question. I can't say I've heard too many myths, just maybe just misconceptions of what I've learned since being here, you know, is because we give so many opportunities, so many different backgrounds and education levels, is probably the biggest thing I hear from our individuals that have little, education background is you don't have to have that to be successful. Whatever you look at, or however you measure your success, is a win or not for you. Is win or not for the company. As many people we have here have been in their roles for 20 years, and they are very happy and they're very good at what they do, with little education experience behind them. But then on the other side of that is, there are people the other way around. Is we have operators that have. I just learned about one the other day that has some sort of medical degree, and they're one of our operators. So we have both ends of it. And it's a very big misconception of you have to have a 4-year degree or 6-year college or 8 years of college to grow within a company. And you honestly don't have to, because there's all kinds of opportunities for everyone out there. It's just finding what you find yourself to be successful at.
Perfect. And so at this point, I'm going to ask Katie if you can give us, or Jillian, a little bit of background information about your company, what it is you do, and then we can kind of go into the video. And then once the video is over, I have a few more questions. So can we do that? Is that okay?
Sure. So we are a manufacturing company. We make circuit cards and wire harnesses for military and aerospace applications. And I actually would like to ask Brian to talk more about some of the specifics of those things, what they actually go into.
Yep. So yeah, we build just circuit cards and wire harnesses. So like cables. So when I say wire harnesses, items like, like just wire harnesses, like cables that power, like our phones, our laptops, things like that, but their sole purpose is for the military. So there are some very detailed ones with, like really small builds that take us, 10, 20 minutes, but others ones that take us days because they're just so advanced, so elaborate, that are on, 4 foot by 8 foot boards that we build these things on, that we are walking around and building. So they're very intricate. And then there's the circuit cards that like go in, our cars or our laptops or anything like that. But again, they're for the military and aerospace. Many of those assemblies go into vehicles like the M1 Abramson tank that the U.S. Army uses. There are radar upgrade systems for F-16 fighter jets. There are a lot of prototype builds that we do for like the Lockheed Martins, Boeing, any of those specific military vehicles out there that we probably see in movies and videos and documentaries and that all the time. That's what powers all of those vehicles. That's what we're building. If you open up the hood of your car, or any vehicle, you see all these electronics in there. We're building all of those for those armored vehicles, for military grade personal devices. So some of the military have little devices that they carry on them for radios or GPS tracking. We build all of the electronics for those. So all the little nuts and bolts and all the little circuit cards that go inside those that ultimately power all of these units. So it's a really wide range of everything that the military uses that we do build here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So the next time, when we think about our military, we got to thank this company, because if it wasn't for this company providing those resources for, the military, to make sure we're safe, we will be in a lot of trouble. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for the work that you do. And so now, Katie, do you think that you're ready to give us a virtual tour of Amphenol?
Yes, absolutely. We'll play our pre-recorded tour video.
Perfect. And just feel free to share the screen. You have all the co-host access. Is there sound with this?
There is, but it's just a little like song. There's no no one talking through the video, so.
Well, perfect. Okay, thank you. Fantastic. And just one thing I want to echo, students, I have participated in a real life tour. I mean, their facility is so fantastic. It's so bright. It's so neat. It's so clean. I know that a lot of students have this misconception about what a manufacturing company looks like. And when I went in there, it was really fantastic. I mean, just everything was just so well lit, so organized, so clean. And we were constantly moving around the, the facility. We went upstairs, we went downstairs. So thank you so much for that virtual tour. And I just have to give you guys major kudos. The video you show just really highlights, the actual feel of your facility, and it looks fantastic. So I just want to say thank you for that. And so now I will move on. I have about 3 more questions, so we may end early, which is good, because I know that you guys are so busy, and I know that you have to get back to your, your day-to-day, occupation. But I just want to make sure that we touch on a couple of key critical questions for our students. And so one I have is what do you think the job outlook is for your particular career? I know that we are dealing with we are headed into a post pandemic era, and I know a lot of people are working, whether it's remotely. A lot of individuals, the way we look at work is slowly changing. So what do you think the outlook is for your particular careers? And I'll start with the HR piece and then kind of get into the engineers, if that's okay. So we'll start with you, Jillian. What do you think the outlook is for your particular position?
I think the outlook is pretty good. Companies always need human resources. And oftentimes, team members will move up to like a senior role or a director role or a manager role. So those need to be filled as well. And particularly in our industry, I know that we have other divisions under Amphenol who are currently hiring for more HR team members. As they grow, more people, we need more HR team members to hire them. So I think the outlook is pretty good as far as human resources goes. It's nice to always have somebody who can talk to you about benefits and to hire the team members. And these are crucial things for team members that need these resources at a company. So I can't imagine not needing HR team members, unless someone knows something I don't know. But as far as I know, the outlook is pretty good for human resources.
And now I'll move on to you, Stacy. What do you think? What's the job outlook for your particular position?
I think it's pretty stable. I don't see things decreasing in need in the future. From the perspective of through a lot of the quarantining and stuff that we've done on pandemic, we were still here. Maybe on a limited basis, just to make sure we're following protocols, but there was always a need for us to be part of what is still going on. And I don't see that changing in the future either, as things start to pick up and other industries start to pick up, that we're going to need more engineers. So I think it's pretty stable.
Perfect. And is there anything you want to add to that, Brian?
Not too much. I mean, we're like Stacey was saying, like whether we are here every day or not, we're an essential business. It didn't matter what was happening. We had to show up every day, and we did the right thing every day to support those that we serve. So yeah, I think the outlook looks great for all of us. As long as we're hiring, we're going to all needed. Even if something did go south, I mean, we're all still very essential employees. We're also very essential positions in every company. So I don't see anything changing.
That's so fantastic to hear. So what advice would you give our students who are interested, who are, after maybe, participating in this talking tour, what advice would you give them? And they're really interested, in possibly working for your company. Can you provide our students with a little bit of advice? And I hope that I'll start with, this Brady Bunch screen just really, it's something. I'll start with Katie.
Yeah, so definitely just try and, in any industry, even not necessarily ours, if it is something you're truly interested in, we're always willing to, have students come in and see our facility, kind of shadow with somebody who might be in the position that they're potentially interested in. So just try and get hands-on experience in any different type of thing that you are interested in. Like I said earlier, my degree was pre-physical therapy. So I did a lot of shadowing in different, different facilities, different types of, physical therapy. It ended up not being what I ended up truly being interested in, but I wouldn't have, really known that had I not been in that hands-on environment.
And what about you, Stacy? What advice would you give our students?
It would be getting, as kind of what Katie said, is getting some experience, asking questions, job shadowing, internships, asking questions. But one of the things advice I was given early in my career is there's no wrong question. When you don't know, you've got to ask the question. So getting your feet wet a little bit and understanding what does it take to be an engineer, to be a manager, to work in HR, like understanding what the day-to-day is, and just exploring what aspects interest you as part of that field, or maybe just getting into that field.
Perfect. And what about you, Jillian?
Yeah, to kind of build on what Katie and Stacy both said, asking questions is huge. Just being curious and passionate about even your hobbies, those can be transferred to actual careers. And just know that if there's something that you start to do and you don't like it, you don't have to be stuck. Just like many of us, we're in a totally different industry for a long time, and it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to have new interests, and if something's not for you, you don't have to be stuck in that position forever. You can be curious and learn a new position. You can learn a new industry. There's lots of people willing to help. So don't ever think that you have to, if you get a degree in one certain thing, that you have to do that for the rest of your life, because being interested in something, your interests change as you grow. So just know that things can change, and that's totally okay.
I love that, not feeling stuck. I love that. That's so rich. And how about you, Brian? What advice would you provide for our students?
Just getting out and trying. I mean, we all have different backgrounds. We all have different work experience, education levels. You just have to get out there and try. I've always been I wanted to know everything about everything. I knew that wasn't possible, but I got out there and tried. I have an engineering degree. I'm not in an engineering field. I went back to school to get my business degree. So I got that too. I just tried, and I am where I am because I went out there and just tried something.
And I love that. It looks like we'll probably end around 10:30 if that's okay with everyone. But I love the fact that students, there was a lot of rich information, but one thing that sticks out for me, I feel like I feel like a student sometimes. I make notes because I take this information, and when we go to locals in different districts, these are some of the key components that we share with our students. And, I love the fact that you talked about, being willing to take risk and try and experience. And I love the fact that you kind of talk about, just because you've received a degree in one area doesn't mean that that's where you don't have to retire from that. You can continue to explore. And I love the fact that, Katie, you mentioned to our students that there are so many entry-level positions that do not require a degree. I definitely want to just continue to say that, because a lot of our students, again, because of COVID, are electing to have a gap year. And with that gap year, you want to make sure that you know what your opportunities are. So maybe you are, maybe you want to work, maybe and so these opportunities have to present themselves, and by you telling them, look, if this is something that you don't want to explore further, hey, you can take your skills and your talents and explore this position. So I'm so glad you touched on that. And so the last thing, are there any words of wisdom that you want to provide to our students before I share the last couple of slides to our students? Anything that, something that maybe someone never told you? Is there something that you want to share with our students before we kind of go through the last few slides? And just jump in there.
I've always, something I learned later in life that I wish I would have known in middle school, high school, whatever it was, is look at everything from a past, present, future. Is what happened in the past, what's happening today, and how can I make this better in the future? It goes back to a lot of that, like learning from your mistakes is what happened, what am I going to do today, what am I going to do tomorrow, and what am I going to do in the future to be successful, to learn from everything and to move on and to grow as an individual.
Oh, wow, that was rich. Oh, I think I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna make that my own, Brian. Can I borrow that? That
Absolutely.
is rich. Oh my gosh. Anyone else?
I don't think
Okay.
we can top Brian's response, so we'll just let that be the closer for the words of wisdom.
Perfect. And so now I will share the screen, and students, just provide you with a few resources before we end. But I want to tell you, if you are interested in some of the positions that were mentioned, HR, engineering, anything in manufacturing, please continue to research. If you want to know what starting salaries are, if you want to know, what does the job outlook look like in a particular area, please tap into Road Trip Nation and just kind of hover over career exploration. There are 108 mentors in the field of engineering. And the one thing that I love is it's so diverse. I know a lot of myths are that this is just a male dominated, well, it is pretty much a male dominated field, but there are a lot of women, there's a lot of professionals of color in engineering. And so I definitely want you to tap into Road Trip Nation just to get additional information as you continue to explore careers within the engineering field. And we also want you to tap into ONET Online. Again, this helps you find out, where positions are as it relates to, geographics. I know a lot of people may say, hey, I don't want to kind of plant my roots in Michigan. So it helps you look at what type of engineering positions, where they are as it relates to location. It helps with salary. It helps to find out other positions that's within engineering. So please just kind of tap into ONET Online. And then it also provides you kind of with a summary of what that position is. It'll tell you what certifications, degrees, what is required for that particular career that you are interested in. And again, as Katie illustrated or outlined, there are so many positions that do not require degrees. So ONET will definitely help you as you continue to explore those careers. And if there's any follow-up, please do not hesitate to reach out to me, and I will make sure that I can get any information. Before I end, are any of you comfortable with students reaching out to you if there's possible internships, mentorships? Are you okay with them reaching out to you?
Yeah, they can absolutely reach out to me and I can help facilitate that for anyone.
Perfect. And so with that, students, anytime an employer is willing to, allow you to reach out to them, please take advantage of that. Their plate is so full. As Brian says, he's working all the time. So if he's willing to extend that olive branch and say, hey, we are willing to mentor you, provide you with internships, a possible job shadow, you have to take advantage of that. So again, I just want to thank our business partner today, Amphenol Borisch Technologies. I want to thank you, Katie, for assisting me with setting this up. And we just look forward to a post-pandemic where we can actually have a talking tour in person. And I'm just grateful for the knowledge and the rich information that you provided our students. So thank you so much.
Thank you as well. We are happy to participate.
Yes.